Good afternoon again. This is Dr. Bill White with the American Orthodontic Society, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about palatal separation this afternoon. And actually, this case was done a good many years ago, but this was the first case that I ever used force between the upper centrals in separating the palate. And this was on a late teenager. I don't think he was 20 years old yet. But anyway, I was having some difficulty, and his palate wouldn't go apart, and he was griping and fussing because he the discomfort is more until the sutures separate. And once they separate, then it's no pain at all, you see. But this was the most interesting way this happened, so I want to tell you about it, and it'll kind of give you some idea about palatal separation. This is the young man. He was in college at North Texas, and he came down to our area and we were trying to fix his teeth up. They were in terrible shape. And you'll see in just a minute. Real nice guy, but he couldn't take this pressure that was being put on his teeth trying to separate this palate. And he was griping, and he came in one Saturday morning, and I was working, and I worked till that afternoon sometime, and he and his girlfriend came in, and he was fussing about the pressure on the teeth, and I couldn't seem to get the separator to separate his teeth. And I looked at that thing and just thought about it. We're pushing on teeth back in the back of the mouth, and the biggest part of the bone structure to go across or to separate is right down through the spine. Right in here, there's a lot of bone structure in this area that needs to separate, more than there is back in the back of the mouth. And so I was just kind of busy, and he was over there fussing about that, and I was kind of, I guess, a little irritated. And this was back in this was 1973. I was thinking it's 80s. Gosh, no, it was way on back there. See, and I just thought, well, I'll just make a spring. And some way or another, I had made some springs like this one before, and they would activate about 90 degrees, and I just made up one real quick and stuck it between the two centrals right here. Actually, it was a wire that went out and had this little coil in the middle, and went down like this, and I actually activated that thing. It was made different from this, though, and then we had to tighten the thing up, and then it was out this way. And I bent it down and put it into the teeth. I'll show you here just a second. Anyway, everything else was going all right. We had extracted teeth on him, and which I normally separate before I do the palatal separation. Then it's 1973. This is the right and the left side. Let me see if I need to erase those lines. Then here is the spring that I made. And when you activate this thing, you bring this line down here, then that tightens this spring up, you see, and it wants to go. Now this is the wrong kind of spring to put on this guy, but we caught it just in time, and it didn't hurt anything. And we'll bring this down to where it's now like this, and then we put some little stops on it, and we put that between the central teeth, And I'll tell you what happened here in just a minute. So here we bent these legs up so they would hit against the brackets right here, see? And these two teeth were kind of angled this way so we could bend this thing and put it in there. So it not only separated the teeth, it straightened the central teeth out. And I tied this thing on him at 10 a.m. Saturday morning. Excuse me. And he went down to Fort Worth with his girlfriend, and they were window shopping and looking. And now when the sutures go apart, you feel very little. And after they go apart, you feel no pressure at all. And so you can just crank it on from there. Well, anyway, he left here looking like that. And he said he came back in and got in by 2 or 3 or something that afternoon. I forget just exactly how much. But he got back to the office, thank goodness. And let me show you what happened here. He came in, they look like that. Now I'm glad he came in because this leg won't go up there, so he'd have taken the root and go over this way like this way. And he'd had his 2 centers look like that. Thank goodness he got in. I made a mistake there, but I shouldn't have put that in. I should have put something straight across and then put the spring in here. So when they go across, the roots of the teeth both go out at the same pace and everything. Excuse me. All right, he got there, and I think this note here says he came in about 4:30, and I saw that, and I said, my gosh, this is what we need to do. We're right up here where there's a lot of bone structure, and you put the force where it is. If you take your hands and try to pull something apart, and you don't take your hands and put your arms out straight, you pull it right up to your chest and pull straight against the thing. And that's what we're not doing in palatal separation. See, we're pushing on the area where there's very little bone structure, and it's way back away from this part. That's where the most bone is. So I started using this in 1973. Ever since then, we've taken anybody that had a real tough palate separate. We put a sliding arch wire through here and pack spring in between it, and we can open people's palates up into the 30s and even a few people in their 40s. We've actually separated their palate when they're in 40s, and have had doctors that have come in and taken this course have told me they separated some in their 40s, Now that's getting up pretty close, and I've had them that would not separate. I've got a video of one like that. Okay, here we go. Now here is the guy's teeth. I mean, it's a hideous mouth. No wonder he wanted to do something. Well, we extracted these teeth first, which we rarely do now. I would just get all the teeth in here and land this back to the second molars and everything, and we crank this thing apart. But we're pushing back here on these teeth, and the bone structure that really is the biggest use. I've got that video showing you the skull where it's cut right down through here. This is where the most bone is to go apart, and we're trying to push it apart down here at this part. That's like sticking your hand straight out and trying to pull something apart. You just don't have the force. And so you put the force out here where the bone is, and you can open palates on people a lot older. Now, I went to New York to an orthodontic meeting once. The big time orthodontic meeting up in New York, and Donald Timms was there. I think he may have spoken or something, and I was there and saw him and talked with him, and went up to Donald Timms. He wrote the book on palatal separation. He was from England, and I went up and talked to Dr. Timms, Donald Timms, and I said, how can you separate the palate on somebody? And he told me, said, well, about 17 or 18 is about as far as you can go. Any past that, it's too hard to separate. And I didn't say anything else to him. I just walked away. I should have told him, well, man, I've already separated people in their 30s, in their late 30s. I don't think I had separated anybody that was 40 when I was talking to him. But I have in the past. I've separated people in their 40s. Now, not late 40s, it'd be early 40s. And sometimes it's just won't go. Like this one video we showed you of this man who weighed 312 pounds, and we never got it to separate, but we expanded his palate way on out there. I think we just stretched the bone structure in there for it. I've got pictures of it to show it in there. Okay. Anyway, we've separated this palate like here. I took that thing off immediately and put a spring in between there, and we went ahead and finished this guy out. I'm going to go through it right quick here and show it to you. Now we level these teeth out, and I'll open it a little bit to get the laterals in here at the cuspid, and the rest of it is just mostly regular old orthodontic, so I don't want to spend a lot of time with that. And we had the little wildcat. This is what we did in 1973. That's a long time ago. A lot of you watching this that weren't even born when this took place. But we've been separating palates that I never did write it up or publish it or anything. I use it in my lectures, and I've never published this on putting the spring in between the central teeth. But we took this palatal separator, you see, and it's opened up like that. So we got the cuspids out here. We got plenty of room now. Get the laterals in there, then we'll cut this off and bring these over, and we may cut this and leave the bands on here and take these bands off of here. I don't know exactly what we did right there. Let me get on and we'll see. All right, we lined the bottom teeth up and expanded them, and here we go. This is 10 of 73. 10, 5 of 73, and we got them lined up pretty good. And there's where it was. And here is 11 more of 73, and we took that mouth that looked like that and have it look like this. Now that's a heck of a lot of difference between this and what you saw to start with. And you can do this, and I just hope that people all around the world will learn that you can do this. And there are many people that just have never tried to use palatal separators, afraid of it or something. I have never had any problem with any bleeding or anything like that. And you separate them out and you put a retainer in there, and I've had them stay out. I've got many of them that have been out there for 30 and 40 years, and they're still out there, see. So learn to do this. It is a very vital part of orthodontics. Man, it opens the airway. It helps people breathe. I had a kid once that he was having to see the doctor all the time because of his lungs were having problems with the junk that was getting into from mouth breathing. We separated his palate and opened up his airway. And his mother told me that he didn't have to go back to the doctor anymore. He was filtering his own air. He was breathing it through the nose. Plus he was getting this nitrogen oxide that we get from breathing through the nose. There's so many benefits from breathing through the nose and the facial structure. Anyway, let's run through this real quick. And we needed to level that arch out right there. We have a little better ways of doing it now than that. We bend an arch wire and do that. Level the arch out with just a single arch wire. You put a lot of activation at that point. And so here, this is 1974, 3 of 74, and you will recognize that this is what was in there just, I don't know, about a year ago or somewhere, a little time like that. And then this person spends the rest of their life with their teeth lined up like that. Now here this is 1975, and we pulled everything down, and we're just about to finish this case up. We've closed the space. I think somebody was asking me about this lingual wire. You tighten this, run back here, tighten it up, and it'll help pull your deal in here, and it'll close this gap right here, rotating that tooth back. This is a handy little way to you run the wire under here, and then you go back and hook it in this deal, and then you get in an area where you can use an explorer and twist it together, and it puts a real force on the lingual side of the closing, and will tend to bring the arch forward. It'll bring it in a little, not much, but when you tighten it on the outside, it brings it out a little too. See, so you may want to counter that by using this type of wire here. So it's an old 1-2 soft stainless steel wire. Just take your length of it, run the end of it underneath here and tight, and let's go out here and hook it to your lingual button on the tooth, and then tighten and get in here and turn it with a explorer. And you put a tremendous force in here, and it'll tilt the arch in. Not only that, I mean, say tremendous force, a wire will break. We do that. Okay. Now that's, I had to do a little lining up with the midline was off a little, and we were pulling out here, and that pulled this in a little and pulled this out more from the top, and we were straightening that out, and we got it lined up pretty good. And let me go on through and show you, finish it, and here it is finished, and this is 1976. We've got him in the upper wire. We're closing a little bit down here where we had the extraction. We still got a band down in that area. And to close the band space, we had to wear an elastic from molar to molar. That was hard to do. Now you can put brackets on there and you can pull those teeth right up against each other. You don't have the problem that we had then. Okay, still got to get the band off of that too. Now the upper, no, this is the lower, is coming along pretty good there. That's the lower arch, and we're closing some of this right here with this, putting that together, holding it. Some of the things that we did years ago that we don't even have to do today with brackets. You can't be thankful enough for brackets. There's 1976, and this is 1988, and here is in 1988. Its bites deepened a little bit. That's 76, and that's 88. And so that's 12 years later. he's still out there. Now you have very few people that tend to collapse back there. If you get them, spread this out, get them breathing through their nose, then their tongue comes up here. If you breathe through your mouth, your tongue's got to be in the bottom, and this spreads out more on the bottom than it does on the top. Now, this is he does a lot of brushing now, and he's actually eroding the teeth off. I think it's from brushing. Some people say otherwise. I think this is distorting. Taking the mirror, putting the mirror in there, and made that distort like that. That's more like it. Now this guy, as hard as we worked on this, came in 1988 with a dadgum cavity in there and wasn't even feeling it. Man, I chewed him out. I say, we spent all this time and effort straightening your teeth up, and then you sit in there and let one of them just drop. And I was so mad at this guy. I could have conked him with something. I didn't, thank goodness. But anyway, that is so dumb. And he's got his wisdom teeth in. You see the wisdom teeth back here. You can't see this one, but here's the wisdom tooth on the bottom down there. So anyway, that does tear you up when you work and you do something real, you think is real great for this person, and then they go over and let the darn tooth rot like that and don't even get in to do anything. So that's the end of this case, and I think there's a lot in here to pass on, but this was my first case to put the pressure between the centrals and put the force where it's most needed, and I've been able to separate many people that are way past the 17 and 18 age limit in there. And I've even expanded palates and people in there nearly 90, but I didn't try to separate them. We just expanded them gradually, and the palate, the roof of the mouth kind of flattens a little, and they stretch out a little bit, but I have not pushed the blooming teeth out of the bone, whoever it is that thinks you do that. And they are out there and they still have their teeth. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye, and we've been talking about 23 minutes here, and I'll thank you for watching, and I want you to sign up with our group, and appreciate you looking at it. And we know these videos go all over the world, and you can people anywhere. And if you know how to do this, you just run this thing back and forth until you learn how to do it. So I'm going to pass this on. We'll say goodbye. Thank you now. Call this stop.